Recently, Donald Trump's been talking, saying he's going to take over Gaza. Would that be a good or bad thing for the Middle East, for Israel, and for the people inside of Gaza?
I think any future in Gaza is better than the status quo, which is that Hamas is the government of Gaza, and the policy of the Hamas government of Gaza is that Israel should be destroyed. So any type of creative solution that will see Hamas not as the government of Gaza and that will see every hostage come home is something we should at least listen to. If you look at Gaza, there's 2 million people in Gaza, and according to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, 1.58 million of the people of Gaza are registered as refugees from the war in 1948. So the identity of most of the people of Gaza is that Gaza is not their home. That's why they're mad. That's why the October 7th massacre happened. Hamas wants to invade Israel, conquer Israel, and turn back the clock to 1948. So now that President Trump said people in Gaza should live somewhere else, it caused people to react and say, well, actually Gaza is their home. And that's correct. Gaza is the home of the people who live in Gaza, and the people who live in Gaza need to make peace with Israel rather than war with Israel. So I'm hoping that people will react to President Trump's proposal by saying maybe a counter-proposal, which is that the people of Gaza should live in Gaza, stay in Gaza, and end their claims against Israel, and live in peace with Israel. That's the best solution. And if they don't say this, if they continue to have a Hamas government that declares war against Israel, then the consequences are going to be continued military action, and we'd rather not see the war. We'd rather see peace. We'd rather see the hostages home. We'd rather live as good neighbors, but we can't begin to rebuild Gaza until the Hamas government is not in power anymore.
Do you think Donald Trump would be successful in taking Gaza?
I don't think Donald Trump is proposing that he take over Gaza. Right now, Gaza is governed by Hamas, which still has a military that is willing to fight. So Hamas is still willing to fight. Israel has been fighting Hamas for 16 months. Hamas remains in power. So Donald Trump is not suggesting that the United States military come and help finish the job for Israel. I don't think President Trump is interested in more fighting a war on Israel's behalf with American soldiers. I think he's interested in helping come up with a solution that is nonviolent, that gives people in Gaza the option. Do you want to leave Gaza? You should have the option to leave Gaza if you want to leave Gaza. Do you want to immigrate somewhere else? I think there are many countries around the world that consider themselves friends of the Palestinian people, even countries that have accused Israel of genocide. Well, those countries should open their doors to people who want to leave. But what President Trump wants to do with Gaza after this fact is, maybe we can discuss it at the time, but right now Hamas is the government of Gaza. Hamas is willing to fight, and if any military gets too close to the Hamas terrorists who are holding the hostages, then the hostages will be killed. So we're in a very difficult situation.
A lot of people do say that Israel has committed a genocide on the Palestinian people. You're pro-Israeli, obviously. What's your message to them?
I think Israel's military actions in Gaza are the most obvious self-defensive military actions in the history of military actions. The communities inside Israel that Hamas invaded on October 7th are walking distance from where Hamas started. The distances are very small. Hamas invaded Israel on October 7th with genocidal intent. Hamas's goal was the genocide of the people of Israel. Israel's goal is to not be genocided, and we cannot live in such a short distance, walking distance, between our own homes and a Hamas terrorist army that's in charge in Gaza. So it is a completely legitimate military action to stop Hamas, to overthrow Hamas, to have a new government in Gaza. And once we understand step one, that it is completely legitimate for Israel to operate in Gaza, to fight Hamas, now we need to understand what is the battlefield that Hamas built. Hamas turned urban landscapes in Gaza into military positions.